are, for instance, one thing, in order to contribute toward peace, one way to do it would be not to be divisive, not to engage in any activity that causes division among people. For instance, Dr. Alavian just pointed out that the Baha'is are currently very much oppressed and persecuted in Iran. Well, in spite of the fact that our heart goes for our co-religionists in Iran, we feel for them, the injustices and the oppressions that they are suffering for 5 years now. Nonetheless, we feel no hatred for the people who are the perpetrators and of these atrocities. We feel no hatred for them, because if we did, that in itself would set the course of the ideals of the Baha'i faith back. We want to invite them, we want to invite everyone in the United States, in Iran, in Latin America, Africa, Asia, to come together and listen to the message of the teacher of God for this day, Baha'u'llah, his name meaning the glory of God. How many times have you read that blessed title in the Old Testament, in the New Testament? He is indeed the Savior of mankind, the promise.
The fact that if a Baha'i in prison is offered the alternative either to be executed or to convert to Khomeini's religion, if for any reason the person would decide to convert to Khomeini's religion and to state that he's no longer a Baha'i, then he is freed. In many cases, all the charges are dropped. So it shows just how ridiculous the charges of spying and the other charges are very nebulous, things like warring against God, whatever that means. Together are unity of the family of Abraham. And one of the purposes of the religion, the revelation of Baha'u'llah, is to establish religious unity on the face of the planet, that through Baha'u'llah they will all come together. This has been something that has been foretold in all the holy books. Specifically, if you look at the last chapter of Isaiah, it says that it is the purpose of the Messiah to gather all the peoples of the world to worship one God. And this is the religion that was established by Baha'u'llah. He was a descendant of Abraham. He's from a very illustrious family. He came at a time when the prophecies, as calculated by many Christian ministers and very dedicated Christian scholars, calculated the prophecies that the prophecies of the Bible had been fulfilled. He appeared in the exact year. He has specifically stated that he is the promised one, the one that has been foretold in all the holy books. He has asked you to investigate his teachings, his cause, the proofs, his life, the effect he's had on people, and then decide whether it's true or not. The old man leaned back a little now, rested his elbows on the sides of the boat, and looked up at some clouds which were concealing the warm rays of the morning sun. The guards? They could not understand at all. During some of the gloomy nights, and sometimes in the early morning, these chanting voices, led by Baha'u'llah, would echo through the prison chambers and out into the courtyard, so that even the king in his nearby palace could hear the joyful sounds. Ali's face lit up with excitement as he imagined how surprised the king must have been. What did the king do, he asked. He was bewildered, Ali. He asked some of his men what the sound was, and they told him this haunting music was from the Baha'is in the Sea of Chal, in the Black Pit prison, giving praise to God. Did he set...
And you must have a distraction. Everyone knows that no one really can completely keep from moving their mouths or their throats when they do a ventriloquist routine. So it is important to have something that serves as a distraction. And we are unified in this. There is a lesson to our performance. You may want to contribute ideas as to what it was really about after it's over.
Adrian for a couple of years. Reverend Richard Daniels and Adrian Hendricks. And I know Adrian for a couple of years now. Our sons played baseball together last summer. And we were at a baseball game last Saturday. And we got talking about an interesting program that Adrian is helping to coordinate and to start in Carbondale. Let's tell us about it.
Okay, the name of it is the Sunshine Program, and it's capital S-O-N-S-H-I-N-E. It's designed by Reverend Darrell E. Calmy of the Macedonian Baptist Church in East St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
He was involved with the chemical people under Mrs. Reagan, and he went around setting up snowballs and snowflakes. But he saw that there was more of a need than that could supply. He saw that people needed to hear that God loved them and that Jesus really designed to provide good information to young people and to help them to understand the issues that are pressing them every day. Issues like drug and alcohol abuse, some kids who may be coming from homes where child abuse is another problem, how to deal with their self-esteem, and all those necessary issues, and try to answer those questions that young people are concerned about so that they can leave here feeling a lot better about themselves and feel that they have a real good chance at being the best that they can be. And all of this is done out of love and care and support and encouragement. Very good, very good. Thank you very much. They're trying to get away. So I will go through the crowd. Would you tell us your name, sir?
Jamal Smith.
Jamal Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, and why are you here?
To learn and meet other people.
Okay. Where do you live?
Carbondale.
Do you think that this will be a good program?
Yeah.
And you like meeting new people?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. We might have to talk to you later. Is that your little brother that ran away from me?
Yeah.
I think his name is Peter. We're going to have to catch up with him, too, and talk to him. Come on back up to Peter. Yeah. What do you think about the Sunshine Program?
Great.
Yeah.
Nice experience.
And you've been through some of these before?
Mm-hmm.
And what have you learned?
How to open up to people you don't know, and how you can share with other people experiences that you have been through so that they may get stronger and become stronger.
And serve and help other people. I want to thank Joel Smith for giving us this opportunity to express ourselves and to let people know what the Sunshine Program is about. And through programs like Baha'i Focus and through people like Joel, and letting us take his time and to come into your living room, then people who need an alternative or somebody to talk to will know that they can call someone in the Sunshine Program, somebody with the Sunshine Workshop.
Hello, Carbondale. Welcome to Baha'i Focus. Just take a look at some of these happy faces. These are recent participants in the Sunshine Program. This is an anti-drug program sponsored by the Southern Illinois Ministerial Alliance. We here at Baha'i Focus are proud to help assist these people. We're going to be running a series of programs on the Sunshine Program because it is such a worthwhile program. Tonight's presentation will feature Tess Ford of the
Also, it's shooting, right, very good, yes. That's not as common as snorting. That's the more common usage that we find that it does happen. Also, another way is smoking, and this is with use of freebasing, which you use some chemicals that you light and then smoke it, and this increases the potency of cocaine quite a bit. There is a new type of cocaine that is being used on both coasts, and that's called crack, and that's also smoked. It's in chunks, and it's still. I have some pictures that I'll pass around later to let you see some of the different types of uses of cocaine.
Living in a world of humanity. Oh, we were made to be free, to live in a world of peace and harmony.
Hello, Carbondale. Welcome to Baha'i Focus. There's a new drug education program in Carbondale, sponsored by the Southern Illinois Ministerial Alliance. It's called the Sunshine Program. This is a very worthwhile program. We here at Baha'i Focus are happy to help publicize this program, and we'd like to encourage others to participate. Today's Baha'i Focus shows the organizer and the founder, the Reverend Darrell Calamise, and one of the local ministers and the president of the Carbondale Ministerial Alliance, Reverend Daniels.
As the platform for them to see similarities and how they feel about themselves. But I think the overall emphasis of that is to get people to understand what problems they have and do something about them, because you can't do anything about a problem or an idiosyncrasy unless you realize you've got one. And then you can, then you can start work on it.
It is in existence because we want to tell you about the Baha'i faith. Some of the basic things that Baha'is believe is that there's only one God, that this God has sent a succession of prophets to reveal religion to mankind, that religion is successive, it is progressive, that the religions of the world are organically linked, that it's all part of one big plan, and that in this age, God once again has sent a new prophet, and his name is Baha'u'llah. He's the founder of the Baha'i faith. Baha'u'llah's teachings, he teaches that there is only one God, that there really is only one religion. But the primary teaching of Baha'u'llah is that the idea that mankind is one, that it is the will of God and it's the will of the purpose of religion to teach mankind to live together. No matter where in the world you live, whatever culture, language, background, men or women, what race you are, it doesn't matter. That there should be one great family. So that is the basic concept of what the Baha'i faith is. We have a special guest with us today. Her name is Fern Chappell. She's been a friend of mine for a long time. And she's kind of a special lady, and she's some kind of a special family. I'd like to thank you for coming to Baha'i Focus.
Well, thank you, Joel, for having me here.
How long have you been a Baha'i? Tell us about that.
Oh, I've been a Baha'i since about 1969 when I came here to go to school. My oldest brother, some of the people in Carbondale might know him, Dempsey Clem, was already a Baha'i. And so I had exposure to the Baha'i faith through him. But at that time, we thought it was, just some hippie movement, love one another, give, the flowers, just, some phase that my brother was going through while he was at college at the time. And so I stayed with him a while, and I met the people that were Baha'is at that time, and they seemed okay, But after that, he told me about something about the Baha'i faith, that it was a world religion. It just wasn't some movement. It was the real thing. It was a religion, and it was one that was promised to man through the Bible.
And at that time, you know, brother's gone off the deep end. And so what I did, you know, I told him, well, you know, show me. Because I was from a Baptist background. And I wanted to know, you know, if it could be shown to me through the Bible, then to me, of course, it was right. And so he gave me a book, Thieves in the Night, that had prophecies. It was written by
William Sears.
Yeah, William Sears. And it had prophecies from the Bible. And so at the time that William Sears wrote the book, he was not a Baha'i. But he had, he wanted to know for himself. And also, so my brother also told me, he says, now investigate this faith. Now, if you can find something wrong with it or something untrue about it, you come. Tell me. Well, I knew I could, you know, being Baptist, I knew that, you know, hey. And also in the Bible it said, you'll, you know, something about the tree, you'll know the tree by the fruit it bears, because a thorn bush, you know, I'm paraphrasing this here,
right,
you know, can't give you good figs. And so I was going to hunt for me a few thorns in these writings, you know, and save my brother from himself. Well, I did. I took the book and I took the Bible and I went through it, and it proved to me, you know, by just going through it, and so many prophecies that were fulfilled by Baha'u'llah, I felt that it couldn't be false. And I remember also in the Bible, one of the sins that could not be forgiven was blasphemy against the Spirit, whether it's wrong or not. And so thereby I became a Baha'i. And so there was two of us then. And so it started spreading through our family. My mother, she was Christian, you know, of the Baptist faith also. And she was going to save her children from this movement, this, you know, this hippie movement. And thereby she became a Baha'i by investigating, by reading, showing us where we were going to, you know, where we would go wrong. She became a Baha'i. And it sort of went through our whole family like that. I have 4 brothers and a sister, and we're all Baha'is, you know, because we investigated. We, you know, you have to have an open mind, but you have to think with your mind. You can't just follow somebody, you know, just because they said this is what you do. That's why God gave you a mind, is to use it. And so that's what we did, and we all became Baha'is.
That's one of the remarkable things about the Baha'i faith, is that it doesn't really matter which direction you approach it from. If you want to attack it, fine. If you want to oppose it, fine. If you want to go into it with an open mind and to investigate rationally, that's okay too. A lot of people just fall in love with it instantly and go into it with open arms, loving it. It doesn't really matter how you go into it, because no matter which way you come in, whatever you're looking for will be there. I know of many people that have come in trying to as you say, find the thorns in the story, and they come out usually a few months later being very strong, shining Baha'is.
In the Air Force in 1966.
How long were you in the Air Force?
I was in the Air Force for some 24 years. Most of my work was concerned with the space program in one form or another. I was Director of Information at Cape Kennedy.
Oh, you were?
I was in the early days in the space program at Aberdeen Proving Ground, White Sands, and was involved with the early German scientists that came over to this country after the war. The space scientists.
That's fascinating.
Werner von Braun and others.
That is incredible. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I was with the Ordnance Department, which had control of Aberdeen Proving Ground, and the As a young boy, let me go back a little bit. As a young boy, I was very much interested in space, and we had formed the American Interplanetary Society, which was a society of young people interested in space and the possibilities of traveling out into space. We were the kooks of those days. Now this is back, we're going back into the 1920s, the 1930s, and but in Germany there was also an amateur rocket society. And so when the war came along, Hitler nationalized the amateur rocket society, and they became the scientists that worked at Peenemünde and other places that developed the V2 and the V1. In the United States, those of us who had some experience, some of us formed a company called Reaction Motors, which developed the bazooka and other rocket devices. But also a lot of us were involved in working on Operation Paperclip, which was bringing the German scientists to this country.
I've heard of that.
And then also working with the captured German V2s that went to White Sands in New Mexico. And from that came the learning which developed our rocket programs of the future to the present day. And I was closely associated with some of the early days of this program.
That is fascinating. Yeah. Must have been really exciting to be part of that program.
It was exciting to see the failures and to see the successes. And there were a lot of failures before there were any successes.
At what point in this time here did you become a Baha'i, or did you first hear about the Baha'i faith?
Well, I was in the military in the early days. In fact, I was at Aberdeen Proving Ground when I first heard of the Baha'i faith. I read an ad in, I think it was Newsweek or Time magazine about the Baha'i faith, and wrote to them and never received a reply because I had been transferred in the interval to Alaska. And the first thing I saw, I was Director of Information for the Alaskan Command, which was a joint command, and I saw an ad in the classified listing for the Baha'i faith. I just happened to open a telephone book and to look up something. And I said, my God, they have never sent me any information on it. And I called them and went to some meetings, and within about 2 months became a Baha'i. And
it's exciting because to have 9 men and to have different administrative bodies, local spiritual assemblies throughout the world, to have these people as our governing body and know that we elected them, that they are using their knowledge and spirit to guide us, millions of Baha'i throughout the world, is an exciting thing. And to know that you're part of it and that you're helping to bring this about is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. One of the really unique things about the Baha'i administration is the way that the people are elected, and that is there is no candidates, there are no nominations. That the way the members of the Universal House of Justice are elected is there are delegates selected from each country in the world, each country where there is a national spiritual assembly. And these 9 men are elected by secret ballot with no candidates, no nominations. So essentially what you are getting, I think, is probably the 9 most spiritual qualified men in the entire world. Mm-hmm. These are people that did not even seek the position, and yet they are elected from the entire world. Mm-hmm. This is how they're elected. We have people from all backgrounds. We have a teacher, there's doctors,
lawyers,
Persians, Orientals, black, white. The Baha'i Universal House of Justice is truly representative of the entire spectrum of the world.
Right.
What was it like to work with these people? Could you tell us some of the things about the members of the House of Justice?
Well, to me it was so exciting because I went there. I knew some of them, of course, but I still went there with this feeling that perhaps they were going to be so spiritual that I might not be able to approach them, you know. And of course that's not true, because the first thing they did when I came there was take me into the chambers and shower such love and laughter and fun with me that I knew that this was going to be a marvelous thing.
Yeah.
And to be there with them, to be with people that have been in a place for many years, and to deal with them every single day, and to be able to say, after 8.5 years, that you have never seen any of them
out of the way, do anything that was ugly or thoughtless or unkind, to feel their continuing love and encouragement is to me alone a miracle, you see. And then to be with staff members, people who were giving voluntary service. This doesn't mean that we're not cared for, but we are not a paid, a salaried, I should say, group of people who volunteer to serve there. And to see the kind of sacrifice and service and joyous living, because we played cards and we danced and we played golf and we went swimming and we had wonderful talks and we met people from all over the world.
President of the United States now has tried to intervene or do what he could to stop the persecution. And then also we hear the Baha'is going before congressional committees talking about this problem. And last year I was at a youth conference in Ohio where we had a Baha'i congressman from Iowa speak to the group.
A Baha'i congressman?
Or a congressman who spoke to the Baha'i group.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't Baha'i.
That kind of surprised me to hear you say that, because Baha'is are neutral politically, and I've never heard of a Baha'i politician. And it's something that, I guess relating that to the idea of the Iranian persecutions, one thing that they say is that the Baha'is are not a religion, that they are a political group, and which is a claim that is totally false. The Baha'is are totally neutral politically. And
that is a claim that they could never support.
So I think your mother was saying that you're from a Baptist background.
Yeah, all the way, yeah. Baptist now, yes, I love it, yes. Yes.
Do you think there was any conflict there between the Baptists and the Baha'i belief?
Well, not really, because, they believe in the one God, the Baha'is believe in the one God, so the essence of the religion is one and the same. I mean, there can't be any conflict because, the sun is shining, the same sun is shining on Baha'is as well as Baptists. There can't be any conflict.
What were some of the things that appealed to you as you were beginning to investigate the Baha'i faith?
The thing that appealed to me the most about the Baha'i faith was that they practice what they preach. I mean, I'm being black, and being used to a lot of prejudice from different people. I grew up in the Baha'i faith, there was no prejudice. But once in this society in America, I was able to enter into a group, a religion, whatever you want to call it, that was free of prejudice. Absolutely free. You understand? You can't understand because you're black, you don't know the subtleties that you go through, But in the Baha'i faith, hey, it was just like,
it's gone.
It's gone. And it works. There's no need for it. Right. There's no need for it.
That's one of the things that really impressed me when I became a Baha'i in Chicago. Chicago is an extremely racist place. There are certain territories that if you walk across the street, somebody might kill you for just walking across the street. And when I became a Baha'i, all of a sudden, it was just gone. It was just like a great weight lifted off of you. And for a while there, I thought that all of a sudden racism had just totally vanished from the earth. And it took me a while to realize that that was only true among Baha'is, and it was only true among this group. So that really is true.
You can go anywhere in the world. If he's a Baha'i, you don't have to worry about that. I don't care where you go. Any part, if he's a Baha'i, I don't care where he's from, hey, you got a friend. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And so it has to be something to a religion that that brings about that type of change. We talk about another religion, but hey, here it is, man. Here's the reality.
Right.
The reality is truth.
Carbondale Baha'i Community is shown here on Channel 7, Carbondale Cablevision. Our guest today is Avery Krim. Everybody fondly calls her Mama. Thank you for coming on Baha'i Focus.
Thank you.
Avery is a Baha'i.
Yes.
And how many years have you been a Baha'i?
I've been Baha'i about 10 years.
10 years. What is it about the Baha'i faith that you wanted to investigate it?
Well, reason I became a Baha'i is that I sat down and I read Thief in the Night. I started in the middle of the book. It was on a Sunday morning.
And it got so good to me. I got to understanding so much about things that I didn't know, that I have to begin in the beginning of the book, The Thief in the Night. That's the one that I like the best.
That's the book Thief in the Night by William Sears.
That's right, that's right. And after I read The Thief in the Night, I believed. I believed in the Baha'i faith.
Thief in the Night is a book about Christian prophecies.
Right.
And Baha'u'llah fulfills the Christian prophecies.
That's right.
What was your background before you were Baha'i?
I was a Baptist, and I was baptized in the Baptist church. And before then, I was a Presbyterian. My husband was a Presbyterian. And so when I moved to Joppa,
this is Baha'i Focus. It is a principle of the Baha'i faith that members of different religions consort together and talk together and meet together in a spirit of friendship and harmony. And today we're talking with Rabbi Leonard Zoll. I'm very happy to have him with us today. I'd like to thank you for being a Baha'i Focus.
My pleasure.
We wanted to do a segment on Israel. You've been to Israel a couple of times, and I was just wondering, what do you think is the significance of the present state of Israel? Is there, as it relates to the Jewish religion, is there any significance to that?
Yes, the significance of the state of Israel is that it's the modern reincarnation of ancient Israel. It's a place of safety for Jews and Arabs and Christians who live there, or anybody else who goes there. It's an experiment in applying the principles of the Torah to society. And the significance is that the land, which is the state of Israel, or part of the, how shall I put it, the state of Israel is part of the land of ancient Palestine. It's not all of ancient Palestine, which became Jewish in those days. But the land that is the state of Israel is part of the Holy Land. It's called the Eretz HaKodesh, the Holy Land. And Jews believe that the land, the ground itself has become sanctified.
It's very interesting because I sometimes belong to some organization where it's not really religious organization, and where there are people from other races, they find it very difficult to mix freely. But in the Baha'i faith, this is not there. Here am I in Carbondale meeting some Baha'is for the first time, but I feel at home because there are Baha'is. A different thing happening for the first time in the world. And I think the Baha'i faith will be able to eliminate those kind of racist prejudice that separate human beings because of color or any kind of
I think a lot of times Baha'is get to the point where they start to take that for granted, that it is something that we have it and we don't even think about it. And like you say, when you come in contact with other groups, it really all of a sudden is very surprising. And I think that is probably one of the greatest proofs that it works.
I think you're right.
In Nigeria, I know there are several tribes of people. What are some of the tribes? What tribe are you from?
I am from Isoko, in the Bende state of Nigeria. And there are three major tribes in Nigeria: the Hausa, the Yoruba, and the Igbo. I come from the minority group.
In Nigeria, are there Baha'is represented from each of these tribes?
Oh yes, there are Baha'i represented from all these tribes. It is very striking that even we have some Baha'is from the north who are really formerly Muslim, and they are really Baha'is. The thing is that it is very striking when some of these Muslims, they come across the Baha'i writings, and those who are really open-minded become Baha'is. So in the Baha'i faith in Nigeria, people from different tribal backgrounds, they are in the Baha'i faith.
So there really is no distinction of tribes, and the people of different tribes get along well.
No, in Nigeria, among the Baha'is, we don't even recognize which tribe one comes from, because that is not very important to the Baha'is.
I know in this country, among the American Indians, there have been many meetings among the Baha'is with the various tribes of the American Indians, and that's one thing that they say is that there is no distinction of tribe when the Baha'is come together. They are Baha'is, and it's something that transcends tribal loyalties, and it's something that transcends racial loyalties, and I would say even for the most part it even transcends national loyalties.
That's right.
And language. How many languages do you speak?
Well, I speak 3 languages. I speak English, I speak Yoruba, which is not my real tribe, and I speak Isoko, my actual language.
Okay. Could you give us some examples of what the language sounds like? Could you,
Ekaro means good morning.
What language is it?
That is Yoruba.
Yoruba.
Oyazino, have you arrived? That is Isoko language. And of course the other one is English, which is generally known.
Yes, here's our lead. Come here, come here.
Come here. No, I've done enough
Come here.
interviewing.
Come here.
Come here. There you go. I look terrible.
Sure you do.
Thank you very much.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I'm a graduate student at the Department of Economics.
Yeah, do you have a name?
No. It's written here. I can't read it.
Avid is a foreigner. She comes from a foreign country.
Iranian foreigner.
She comes from a country on the other side of the world where they speak a different language, and I think
quite a different.
These people write backwards. Can you imagine that?
We'd write backwards and we'd talk backwards. We do everything backwards.
Well, that's why we're having this picnic, because
that's right.
This is backwards from what everybody else in the United States does. Nobody else is having race unity picnics,
that's
so we
right.
figure, what the heck, we'll do it. So I guess that's backwards. It's the opposite of what everybody else is doing. They have race unity day picnics in Iran?
No, because you only have one race.
Well, I guess that's united. You're a Baha'i.
Thank God we don't discriminate. Because we don't have one race.
What's the Baha'i teaching say about race unity?
Oh,
Can you
it
say anything
says
about
that mankind is one, and we should not discriminate against anybody's religion, race, color, nationality. What else? That's about covers it all.
A lot of times in this country, I know Americans look at some of the foreign students and see some of the people from Middle Eastern backgrounds, and they think, you know, there's someone that is different and someone that I can't be a friend with. But that's really not true, because basically people are the same no matter where you go in the world.
That's right. You're all human beings. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
We're very similar in emotional feelings.
Yeah. So
Emotionally,
here's proof that somebody from a Middle Eastern country can, she's from
can
Iran.
learn writing and speaking forward. It's possible to learn to write from, what is it, left to right?
Yeah.
And speak from
some intellectual and stimulating social events to them, using the established organizations, women's organizations, and bringing their expertise to the women that are usually, you know, stay at home. And so unfortunately, funding has given that the so we're not there anymore.
But I would probably say that Baha'i faith is still committed to the idea of the oneness of men and women, the equality of men and women. So this is something we would constantly work towards.
Yes.
And even though the programs might not work out as well as we want, the idea is still there, and we just keep plugging away at it.
The equality of men and women is an important Baha'i principle, because it's the key that will unlock the door to peace. When women have accomplished their potential and are equal to men, like the two wings of the bird, then the bird is much stronger and can fly to a higher apex instead of
This is an analogy that Baha'is use quite often, the idea of men and women being like two wings of a bird. That unless the two wings are developed equally, the bird cannot fly correctly. This is a Race Unity Day picnic. Do you have any thoughts about the idea of race unity?
I think it's, oh gosh, do I have any thought about it? I think it's important to not only intellectualize the equality of the races, but also to take it to heart and to remove that evil of prejudice and racism from our hearts. And this is a wonderful opportunity. These events like this, sponsored by the Baha'is and by the Sunshine Group and so on, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to reflect that very important principle.
Another idea is cooperation between people of different nationalities. I know that you were born in another country.
Yes.
How long have you been in the United States most of your life?
I was 9 when I came to the United States, and I'm now
19.
and now I'm only 19 years old.
Right.
See what the United States, land of opportunity, did to me. Made me young looking.
Would you call your marriage an interracial marriage?
I think most emphatically so.
What is the Baha'i viewpoint on interracial marriage?
Well, it's definitely encouraged, but you know, it's not one that you can't marry someone within your race, but it is definitely encouraged. Right?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
We're talking now with Omar Suarez. Omar, I know, is one of the resident geniuses in the electrical engineering department at SIU. Thank you for coming to today's picnic.
Thank you.
You're from Venezuela.
Yes, I am.
You do, in fact, speak a foreign language.
Well, yeah, I speak English.
Do you have any thoughts? We're soliciting people's ideas about the idea of racial unity, in that this is a Race Unity Day picnic. Do you have any thoughts about the idea of race unity?
Well, no, I think it's an excellent idea, and I wish more people would have the same idea. Then this world would probably work better.
Well, we're definitely going to work on it to see if we can help promote the idea. We're talking now with Bonnie Krim. Bonnie's been a friend of mine for quite a while. And you're from Joppa.
Yes.
You used to live in Chicago.
Yes.
You've got a lot of relatives in Joppa, or at least by marriage. What do you think of the idea of race unity?
Well, personally, I have to agree that it's the only way humanity can survive. I'm married to a black man myself and have 2 beautiful children, and I believe that the best of both races always comes out.
I agree with that. I know Bonnie's husband, he's working today. He couldn't come here, but they have a very beautiful Baha'i family. Bonnie is, you might have noticed recently, if you've been... We're talking now with Adrian Hendricks. He's the Associate Minister. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. At the Hopewell Baptist Church in Carbondale. And Adrian has offered a lot of help and assistance and moral support for the Race Unity Day picnic today. I'd like to publicly thank you for your efforts and for the efforts of your group. It was the Sunshine Program, which you helped coordinate in town here, that provided a lot of assistance today for this picnic. And I would like to publicly thank the Sunshine Program and the people associated with that for their assistance today. This is a picnic that is, its purpose is to promote unity between people of different races and nationalities. What are your thoughts on that subject? Is it a necessary subject?
Of course. Now, at the Baptist churches that I know, all of us say the same thing, that we believe in racial unity is biblical, and equality for male and female, that's biblical. But some of us don't go out of our way, as you did, you know, to bring about confrontation whereby I'm doing what I say I believe, which makes a difference. And I had a good time. I think most of the people here had a good time today.
Right. I think so too. People have asked me, you know, why did you do this? Why would you have a Race Unity Day picnic? And my answer, for the most part, is because nobody else did. There are children. No. There are children right over there that have glasses of ice water, and it's their intention to throw these glasses of ice water onto our bodies. I, in fact, myself have recently been the recipient of 4 or 5 glasses of water.
Race Unity Fun.
That's right. We had a Race Unity Day volleyball game today. I was wondering just how your team did.
My team did great. Like I said before, we from Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church do most things well.
I understand you won one and you lost one.
Now we won 2.
Uh-huh, you won 2.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Were you personally one of the stars of this event, or?
Being humble, I have to say that I was just on the winning team. Being braggadocious, I would have to say that I was one of the stars.
A picnic in Carbondale today brought together people of various races to share aspects of their individual cultures. The Baha'i community sponsors the event each year, and spokesman Joel Smith says the potluck picnic is held to create racial awareness.
I think that for the most part, a lot of people just take the idea for granted, but they don't know how to put it into action. So that is what we're trying to do, is provide a channel for them to express what they already feel.
About 50 people turned out for the picnic today, some through the participation of local churches. Organizers say many different races were represented. The Baha'i faith promotes racial unity worldwide. An annual 9-day...
Good. I'm trying to think what kind of jobs. You get all kinds of jobs using math. You can be an accountant. That makes lots of money. You want to be rich when you grow up? Yeah. It's okay to watch yourself on TV. Hello, we have as our guests today Eve and LaRuga Glazer. I can remember Eve and LaRuga when they were little tiny babies, just about this big. They used to live in Carbondale. They were in Carbondale just briefly. Thanks for talking with us on TV. Come on, get up here.
All right, here we go.
1, 3. 1, 2. What comes after 2?
5.
5.
I'm the king of rock. There is none higher. Suck of MCs. You call me Sire. To be this hard, you must be fired.
I won't stop rocking till I
retire.
The other rules, the spiritual rules, the spiritual laws that remain the same and that are always wanting to try to get us to work towards unity and towards love for our fellow man, the golden rule.
Yes, it is proclaimed in every world religion as the best way for living together is to do to the others what you would do to yourself.
And the Baha'is, we're taught that we should actually maybe do more for the others. We should pick for them what we would want for us, or to rather, try to treat them better than we would even treat ourselves.
That's right, and we believe maybe this is even progressing since the Baha'is don't have the claim to be the absolute thing for all ages, but just God's word for our age, for our time.
I'd like to mention that we're talking earlier about a universal auxiliary language. Can you say a little something for us and maybe give them a reason or an idea of why we might need this?
Yes, just anything in German.
Just anything in German is fine.
Gut, also ich möchte mich bedanken, dass ich heute Abend hier war, und es war sehr schön, dass ihr alle zugeguckt habt, und ich gerne, hätte gern, dass Leute nach Deutschland kommen und Deutschland kennenlernen, so wie es der Philipp gemacht hat. Vielleicht ein bisschen die Sprache lernen auch. Und ich lade alle ein, mehr über die Baha'is-Sache rauszufinden, weil ich glaube, dass das wichtig und richtig ist für uns alle. Und wenn ihr nach Wilmette kommt, dann sollt ihr den Tempel angucken, und sonst in Frankfurt ist der Tempel für Deutschland.
Okay. So you didn't understand, we're just talking about that she's thanking all of you for tuning in tonight and watching, and inviting you, if you come to Germany, to be sure and come and visit. She's offering a welcome to anyone. Also saying that you can learn the language, and if you learned another language, how much easier it would be to understand the people. If we all had one other language, how much easier it would be to understand everything.
Today on Baha'i Focus, we are in the North Woods of Wisconsin We are on the Lac du Flambeau Indian Reservation. We have two guests with us today. We have Sonny Smart and Charlotte Hawkins. And Sonny is a, what tribe are you from? Are you Chippewa?
Ojibwe, yeah.
Ojibwe. And as I said, we're on the Lac du Flambeau Reservation. Could you tell us a little bit about the reservation, the history, any of the background detail about the reservation?
Well, Lac du Flambeau itself means, for the language here, Waswaganing or Waswagan, which is the Lake of the Flames. And that's exactly, Lac du Flambeau itself is a French name, which means Lake of the Flames or Torch, Lake of the Torches. And that's simply because of the fishing that was done here by the Ojibwe people about 400 years ago up in
Baha'i Focus this week is in the north woods of Wisconsin. We are on the Lac du Flambeau Reservation. We're speaking with Sonny Smart and Charlotte Hawkins. We were just discussing, this is segment 2 in this series.
the McGeezy Cliff.
Ah,
the eagle.
Mm-hmm. The eagle?
Did you get it?
Eagle. There's an eagle up there.
Good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
There's an eagle right above us. What is the significance of the eagle?
Well, an eagle, I think, McGeezy Manadu.
Wow.
And his spirit, I think even here, I've got my Sema here. I usually have my Sema, offer him some Sema. The spirit for that.
Have him in the car.
That Thunderbird. And he's here, you know, and all my life, you know, eagles have always come around me all the time. I've had a hard time understanding that too. They're always there. So I always offer them tobacco all the time. Indian people have always had a great reverence for eagles, McGeezy, and that they have a real spiritual significance, and they have a lot of power, and that when they come around you, it's sort of like a good omen, that things are good happening, or they're coming to tell you something, or to show you something while they're there, or if you're doing something, they come to show you that what you're doing is good. And so
that's a very good sign. Great.
And you know, old people say you dance hard, you go across there. And so a lot of that, there's all the spiritual significance that went along with that snake dance there. And they had the bean dance and the pipe dance. And
at the beginning, they danced in the 4 directions.
Mm-hmm.
What is the significance of the 4 directions?
Well, I guess among different tribes, it's, the 4 directions, the 4 seasons. You mentioned the 4 races, 4 different colors. So a lot of things they do in 4s. Everything's basically in 4s that they do it most times. And that's one of the reasons that they do. And so a lot of dances, they incorporate the 4 corners of Earth, the 4 races of man, the 4 seasons. And they put them in there, and they just use that and incorporate when they do the dance there. That's basically right there.
I think we're just about out of time again. These sessions go so quickly. This is just fascinating. I really appreciate you coming on the TV show. So this week we're just about out of time, and we're talking with Sonny Smart, and this is Charlotte Hawkins, and we are on the Lac du Flambeau Chippewa Reservation up here in northern Wisconsin. Would you leave us with a few words of the Ojibwe language?
Well, I guess towards the end, I think as you leave other people sometimes, and in Ojibwe language, there is no word for goodbye. Goodbye is the final that you leave in the physical world. I will see you again sometime, and that's the way that you depart with somebody. I will see you again somewhere down the line, somewhere down the road, and so that's basically how we end things. And usually older people speak, they'll say, "meet you," which is, I've said enough. And so that when you listen to older people talk, that they're the only ones talking. And so when you can tell when they get to the done, say, "me you," or "me you," that's another word I can't think right now. Just basically me. There's another part that goes to it too sometimes. But they use just "me you," and that means, I've said enough. I'm not going to say anything anymore after this, so that people know that he's done talking or she's done talking, and that's the end there. So there's no more that they're going to say after that.
Okay. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for this week, so we will see you again sometime. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
I think you of all people should have upheld our treaty rights. And he was very nice about it. In fact, he took one of our cases that day and heard him that Tom and I disqualified ourselves from the housing case. And he heard that, and each time I see him, he thanks me. He said, you know, that was really, I was really happy with the outcome of that. We try to get our people to understand when they're in court, to understand what we're telling them, and ask them, do you understand what we're saying to you? And they say yes, and sometimes we'll say, well, tell me what I said to you. And they'll repeat something altogether different than they.
So these things were really beautiful experiences.
Did you go to the World Congress
in
London?
1963.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I guess, you know, everybody has things that stand out to them, and there's one thing that stood out to me above all things at that Congress. There were over 5,000 people there. Now, the Bolivian Indian that got up and spoke, he says, you know, their whole tribe had become Baha'is, and I have to admit, I'm a very skeptical person. I thought, I wonder if these people that are coming in the masses in Bolivia and places like that really know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. He got up and he says, we want love, we want justice, we want unity for the whole human race. And essentially, that's what the Baha'i faith stands for. The American got up and spoke for an hour, hour and a half, and, you know, it didn't say probably much more in those, you know, but that's where we are. We're more intellectual. Right. The other thing that stood out in my mind about that World Congress was it was at the same time that our Universal House of Justice was elected for the first time, who resides in Israel at our World Center. Mm-hmm. And one of my closest friends, Amos Gibson, was one of the ones that was elected. Mm. So when they came back to London after the election, everybody wanted to get into this big hotel room and hear Amos speak, you know, because he's a member of the Universal House of Justice. Well, instead of speaking, every time a person would ask a question, he'd throw it back out into the crowd, you know. And even one of his early teachers, he asked her to answer a question, and she went on, and someone was goosing her friend, saying, shh, be quiet, let him speak, you know. But no one, he wouldn't interfere. To me, this is what made him special, is because he didn't try to lead, you know. But he was a leader in spirituality. He, at one time, was a school teacher out in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. And then he went pioneering to the Navajo Indian Reservation, was a member of our national, and all of a sudden elected to our international.
Right. Amos Gibson was, one characteristic of the Baha'i faith is the interracial balance that exists on really at all levels. And Amos Gibson, as a member of the Universal House of Justice, was a black man, and
a very simple man. Now, whereas some of the other members were Persian, wealthy, one was a doctor, Dr. David Rube, one was, that's another thing, one was, I understand, the attorney for, in the chiropractic association. Right. And here, an MD and a chiropractor, and a black person and a Persian. I think the beautiful part of it is every one of those members really respected and loved each other.
Camino del Sol, or Trail of Light, is a project of great historical significance. It brought together for the first time the heritage of the indigenous peoples of the northern and southern hemispheres of the Americas. The project was the result of consultation and collaboration between the Continental Board of Counselors for the Americas and 12 national spiritual assemblies. But Camino del Sol was also the fulfillment of many ancient indigenous prophecies, which foresaw the spiritual renewal of the indigenous people spreading like a prairie fire, starting as a small blaze in the north, gathering momentum as it moved south. Memories of this vision danced through the minds of the travelers as the journey of Camino del Sol intensified. The members of Camino del Sol came together on the Navajo Reservation in Arizona, where two teams were formed. One for Central America and the other for South America. The Central American team consisted of Rita Marquiston and Audrey McCarty, Macaw Indians from Washington, Rick Belcourt from the Cree tribe in Canada, and Walter Austin, a Tlingit Indian from Alaska. The South American team consisted of Louise Prophet, a Kutchin from Canada, Becky McKennitt, a Tlingit from Alaska, Chester Kahn from the Navajo tribe in Arizona, and Rita Blumenstein, a Yupik Eskimo from Alaska. One team was to travel through Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and Panama, while the other team through Chile, Bolivia, Peru, and Ecuador. Before the journey south began, the team members made spiritual preparations. Prayers were offered in many languages, and tribal prophecies were shared. One such prophecy was shared by Rita Marquiston, which saw the beginning of a rebirth, a spiritual rebirth of the macaws, and that a council fire would spread from Alaska down through Canada, the United States, and even into Central and South America. Arizona was another step of the fulfillment of this prophecy. It was also a time to remember the words of Abdul-Baha.
Likewise, should these Indians be educated and properly guided, there can be no doubt that through the divine teachings they will become so enlightened that the whole earth will be illumined.
The journey for the Central American team began in Mexico, the gateway between the North and South. From Mexico to Panama, wherever the team went, they were warmly received. They were truly ambassadors of love. In the gatherings, they spoke of the importance of the Baha'i faith in restoring the integrity and the dignity of the indigenous inhabitants of this hemisphere, and talked of the fulfillment of the ancient prophecies of the Eskimo and Indian.
The National Christian wants to discuss, especially today, about the peace statement. Just for now.
The Baha'is have a peace statement. What is in the peace statement?
It's mostly involved with how the world, how Baha'u'llah had brought a message to the world, bringing about peace, as far as how to attain it. With a lot of the groups and churches come up with peace statements, but they don't have a solution of how to attain it. And the Baha'i faith and Baha'u'llah has brought that statement, how to attain peace.
Are you Baha'i?
Yes, I'm Baha'i.
What is that?
A Baha'i is a religion, and it believes in all the prophets.